It was a busy first weekend of the NBA playoffs. Why the Magic may not be that far off. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll make that argument. Plus, hey, Franz Wagner got snubbed. Let's just say it as it is. We'll get into that and a whole lot more on today's Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is April 18th, 2022. My name is Philip Rossbrook. I'm the expert and site editor over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, why the Magic aren't so far away from the play-in tournament. We'll make that case. Plus, a look at the 3 seasons the Magic had and a whole lot more coming up here in just a moment. But before we get to that, we want to thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload, no matter when. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Remember, there's a great Locked On podcast covering every single team in the NBA, plus a whole lot more. Check them out wherever you download podcasts or search for Locked On and the team you're looking for. Today's podcast also brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Now that the playoffs are in full swing, everyone's starting to close the book on the regular season. Now, we'll be doing a lot more of that too. Later on this week, we'll start our player evaluation series here on the website. That might actually start tomorrow. I'm getting ready to name my full season MVP. We'll talk probably more about that tomorrow. There's a lot to get into. There's a lot of issues to talk about, a lot of things to talk about. But we are starting to put a bow on the regular season, starting to look ahead, both to the playoffs, obviously, that are still ongoing, but also the draft lottery and the offseason ahead. So we'll have plenty to say as we get ready and as we move forward here in the coming months. But the first part of the recap, the first part of the end of the season is very much the awards. And for Magic fans, there's been one award that's been kind of on their mind and in their focus the entire season. And that is Rookie of the Year. Franz Wagner, unfortunately, will not be winning Rookie of the Year. The NBA announced the finalists for the 6 major awards that they give out and have named Scottie Barnes, Cade Cunningham, and Evan Mobley as the 3 finalists, as the top 3 finishers for the Rookie of the Year award. This is not entirely surprising. For a lot of reasons. None of this should be taken as any disrespect for Scottie Barnes, Cade Cunningham, or Evan Mobley. They all had fantastic seasons. In all honesty, most years, any one of those 3 players plus Franz Wagner would be having a Rookie of the Year capable season. This rookie class has been incredible. It's very, very rare to see rookies play this well this soon, and we shouldn't take anything away from that. There can be only one Rookie of the Year, but there are legitimately 4, maybe even 5 guys who have put in Rookie of the Year caliber seasons. We'll get to the all-rookie teams later on in the offseason. Franz Wagner should 100% be on that all-rookie team. If you go read all the major national writers, they will all say that while Cade, Scottie, and Evan have separated themselves as 3, Franz sits there pretty comfortably at 4, closer to 3 than he is to 5. I don't think anyone is necessarily disrespecting Franz Wagner in this case or in this sense. I don't think anyone is disrespecting the season that he had. This was just a really good rookie class. And again, we expect Franz Wagner will be named to the all-rookie first team, although for a number of reasons, it may not be the slam dunk that everyone thinks it should be or is in reality. The fact of the matter is that, yes, the Magic do a poor job crafting narrative, and the Magic do a poor job getting attention. They were one of the worst teams all year. So was Detroit. But they don't have the number 1 overall pick. Franz Wagner is an 8th overall pick. He mostly fits in gaps and doesn't have the big scoring games, although he had plenty of big scoring games. He doesn't have the flash or the attention of the public that a guy in his position in the lottery or in the standings would need to have to get noticed for this award. Again, Scotty Barnes had a fantastic season. Outside of Franz Wagner, there was no rookie that was more consistent than Scotty Barnes. Evan Mobley transformed Cleveland's defense. So even though Franz Wagner averaged more points than him, I think it's fair to say that Mobley had as big of an impact as any other player. He is my pick for Rookie of the Year, to be perfectly honest. Cade Cunningham is the number one overall pick. There's going to be added attention on him, regardless of his team's record, and he played really well. So again, I don't want to take anything away from him. I would go Mobley. If I had a ballot, I would go Mobley, Barnes, and then probably Wagner would be my third pick. But I don't think Cade is a bad pick for third either. These guys all had really good seasons. That's all I'm saying. But there's definitely a narrative pull and a narrative tug on these guys and the way that they played and the way that they and the way that everyone talked about them, that got them over the hump, that got them kind of the attention that they needed to be front and center in these awards. That's the reality of it. Again, whether it's Magic PR, whether it's Magic Twitter, whether it's Magic fans, I don't know who's to blame for Franz not having that narrative push. The Magic were a very nondescript team. Again, the thing that frustrated me most about the Kyrie Irving game was not that Kyrie Irving necessarily scored 60. It's that this is how everyone's going to remember this Magic team. This is going to be the biggest national notoriety this team gets when they've had a really nice year, when they've done some really good things, when their young guys have played really well, and including Franz. And Franz, if you want to say, oh, well, Cade Cunningham, he had 30-point games. Franz had 30-point games. Franz had big scoring games and big scoring outbursts, but they just weren't, no one paid attention to them or was at a point in the season where people were not quite paying attention to these guys quite yet as they're focused on other things. It's a weird narrative thing, and that's how a lot of these awards work, unfortunately. I mean, remember when Terrence Ross got robbed of being a finalist for Sixth Man of the Year in 2019, and we were like, how is that possible? Like, he was a big reason why Orlando made the playoffs in 2019. There's just a narrative thing about these awards that people get kind of set in their ways and set in the storylines that they want to promote. And honestly, that's a problem with these awards, is it becomes about storyline. I mean, shoot, 2010 MVP, Derrick Rose won that MVP in training camp. There's nothing Dwight Howard or LeBron James could do to win that MVP, even though they both should have won MVP over Derrick Rose that year. Derrick Rose won that MVP in training camp, and it was just kind of decided that's what was going to happen. Again, not that Derrick Rose had a bad year. Dwight and LeBron were better that year. I don't think that's a hot take to say. It is what it is. And I know Magic fans are upset and frustrated by the fact that Franz isn't going to be able to win that award or get the recognition that he deserves. He should be on the all-rookie first team. If he's not on the all-rookie first team, then we riot. But I don't think we should take away from the season that Franz had. And I think we'll be talking a little bit more about Franz and his rookie year on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Magic. So we'll see about that. I want to talk a little bit more about the playoffs and how close the Magic actually might be to the play-in tournament. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's podcast is sponsored by Athletic Greens. Excuse me, I gotta get the name right. Look, our next partner has a product that I try to use every day. I won't say that I quite have the habit down. But we're all trying to take care of our bodies. We're all trying to do our best for ourselves. But we want something simple and easy. And that's where Athletic Greens comes in. If you want better gut health, if you want more energy and optimized immune system, but hate taking pills and vitamins, you need a supplement that actually tastes great. You want to see what the hype is about, check out Athletic Greens today. So what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging all in one thing. It's a lifestyle-friendly supplement, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while tasting good. And it supports better sleep quality and recovery. And recovery supports mental clarity and alertness. It's the one thing with the best things. Athletic Greens uses the best of the best products based on the latest science with constant product iterations and third-party testings. Athletic Greens was created when the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues and ended up on a complicated supplement routine to recover. It cost him more than $100 a day. He created Athletic Greens after experiencing how difficult it was to create an optimal nutritional routine of your own. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NBA Network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NBA Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Today's podcast is also brought to you by Built Bar. I'm trying to get back into my New Year's resolutions and my habits. It is, April already, so it's not time to give up. Summer's around the corner, so we all got to be thinking a little bit about our health before we head out into the sun, or in Florida's case, take a toe out into the sun, realize it's way too hot, and head back inside to the air conditioning. And that's where Built Bar comes in. Built Bar is a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. Replace those candy bars, replace those chocolate snacks with this chocolate because it is good for you, or it is better for you than those other things. Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. They are low calorie, high protein. Replace your candy bars with these. They will be better for you and give you less than half the calories with all the chocolate taste that you like. Go to Built.com and scroll down to the macros chart. You'll be blown away. High protein, low cal, high fiber, low carb. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. They come in great flavors like mint brownie, coconut almond, and plenty of new flavors come out every single month. They're making new flavors all the time, so check out what they have to offer. Go to Built.com and use promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. Again, use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic your first listen every day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast, nightly recaps of every NBA game with analysis from our local experts. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. So obviously the playoffs started this weekend. In one respect, it was nice to be able to watch them super stress-free. I won't deny that. It's the games are a lot of fun. I love the NBA playoffs. I love basketball, and it is nice not to have a dog in the fight. At the same time, I do miss the pressure and the feeling that every possession matters and every possession means something, and every possession is do or die. That stuff is the best. Playoff intensity is just another level. And you honestly don't understand that till you go to a playoff game. It seems like it doubles or triples with each round, and you forget that if you haven't been to one in a while. It's a blast. It's been a blast watching these things. And obviously the next question is, when are the Magic going to get to do this? When are the Magic going to be in these intense game situations? After Pat Beverly's performance and the Timberwolves win over the Clippers last week, RJ Hampton said, "I'm going to be jumping on the scores table after we win the play-in tournament next year." Cole Anthony tweeted during the games yesterday on Sunday that playoff intensity is just another level. I can't wait to be in it. There's definitely an anticipation among the Magic players and certainly among Magic fans to get back to these moments, to have these moments once again. And play at this level. Of course, the Magic are 22-60. They had the second worst record in the league. It feels like they're far away from doing all these things and far away from playing at this level. But the fact of the matter is, it's not that far. Yeah, sure. 20 games is a little bit of a distance. It was about 500 to get into the play-in tournament this year, but it's really not that big of a leap to go from 20 wins to 40. I remember Scott Skiles said this after the Magic won 35 games, his only year coaching. He said, yeah, going from 25, because, I asked, yes, the team got off to the hot start and kind of struggled down the stretch, but to see the team go from 25 wins to 35 wins, what improvement does that say? And Skiles, ever the gruff realist that he is, said, going from 25 to 35 wins is pretty easy. It's 35 to 50. That's the challenge. So obviously there's a long way to go and a lot of growth that has to happen. But the Magic are not that far off in reality. It doesn't take much. I mean, Cleveland was projected to win 26 games this year. They had a breakout year from Darius Garland. They had Jared Allen kind of step up into an all-star this year. They had what's his name? They had Evan Mobley step in and really transform them defensively as a rookie. I remember seeing on the schedule at the end of the season Cleveland twice and thinking, oh, the Magic have an easy schedule down the stretch. They got Cleveland twice. They got Oklahoma City twice. Turned out that those two Cleveland games, while the Magic should probably have won both of them instead of just one of them, turns out Cleveland was a pretty good team. There's always a surprise team somewhere, and it's always internal growth that helps them take that step up as much as anything. It's always some internal growth that helps them step up and then the right added guy, the right added piece. That's always how it is with these teams. When these teams improve, it's usually because internally they get better and they add the right guy to the mix that takes them to that next level as well. That kind of elevates their play and elevates their team. That's the reality. That's the challenge that's ahead of the Magic. Okay. Who is the guy that's going to internally develop into a star? Maybe it's Franz Wagner. Maybe it's Jalen Suggs. It's certainly a possibility for either of those guys. Who's going to be the guy that gets added to the mix that elevates the team? The Magic will have a top 6 pick in this coming draft. There could be someone there that helps them get there. And the reality is, just with a young team, they're going to get better. Or individual players are going to get better. They may not get better as a team, but they're going to get better. They're going to improve. And the question is, how do the Magic try and tie that together? And how does that translate to wins? It's silly at this point to sit here and guarantee or say the Magic's goal next year should be to make the play-in tournament. I don't think that's the Magic's goal this year, at least with the roster they've currently constructed. Obviously, things can change in the offseason. I think the Magic's goal is to be more competitive next year. I think the Magic's goal is to be on the fringes of the play-in tournament. I think their goal is to get above 30 wins, continue to make kind of steady progress up the hill. Just kind of show more proof of concept that they have something that they can build with and they can work with and that they can grow with next season. But the play-in tournament is a big step. That's not one that's so far away. Charlotte got LaMelo Ball and jumped into the play-in tournament 2 years ago. Cleveland developed again into a play-in tournament team. Minnesota, yes, they had a lot of top-end talent, but they added the right guys. Anthony Edwards emerged. Patrick Beverley came and changed that culture. They added the right guys to get to this level, to jump from a high 20s, low 30s team into a playoff caliber team, into a playoff capable team. And of course, Minnesota defeated Memphis in game 1 of their series on Saturday. It feels like a far way away. It absolutely does. But it's not. It's not so far away. There's still the ability to get there. There's still the ability to make that leap, to make that jump, and really surprise everyone by jumping into the play-in tournament. It isn't so far away. Obviously, there's a lot of work to do on the court to get there. No one's going to deny that. No one's going to pretend that this is a team that won 22 games, had one of the worst offenses in the league. I think they snuck out of being the worst offense in the league. They've got work to do. And their identity and their culture is still getting set. But the Magic are not so far away. I think everyone agrees that there's the talent there to make something happen. And everyone on the team is very confident that they can make things happen. The question then, of course, is can they actually do it? Can they actually take that step forward? And that's the part we don't know yet. But I don't think their goals, I don't think the successes that we're seeing, these big moments that we're seeing this last weekend, I don't think they're that far off for this group. It's just a matter of putting all those pieces together and staying focused on the big prize. We'll have more to say about the Magic's culture and what they believe they can do moving forward coming up later this week. But for now, we'll chat a little bit about the 3 seasons the Magic had coming up in just a moment. But first, BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. Find all of the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's NBA playoffs and the start of the MLB season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. So, we're still kind of dissecting the season, still getting a good understanding of what the Magic season was. And, if you listen to Jeff Weltman, he's had one media availability since the end of the season. He went on open mic with Mike Bianchi on 96.9 The Game here in Orlando. That's really the only time we've heard the Magic's head honcho talk about the season. And he brought up an interesting thought, or an interesting kind of thought experiment during that interview. He said pretty much the Orlando Magic's analytics team has divided the season into thirds. I think he really said half, but into thirds is the way I would put it. Before Jalen Suggs' injury and after Jalen Suggs' injury. This is not to say that Jalen Suggs was super important to the team or that he was like the MVP of the team or anything like that. But it was a pretty major event. Suggs missed about 20 games in the season, or 20 games in the season with that broken hand. And that was a pretty big event for the team. A pretty major event to kind of circle the season around. And so I wanted to look at it and see what the Magic actually looked like if you divided their season into thirds. Before Suggs' injury, during Suggs' injury, and after Suggs' injury, since that was such a major event in the season. Suggs was injured 22 games into the season. He averaged 12.3 points and 3.6 assists per game while shooting 33.9% from the floor. Obviously not a great season for Jalen Suggs. In a lot of ways, Suggs was one of the biggest drains on the Magic's offense. In those first 22 games, Orlando had a 100.6 offensive rating, 27th in the league, and a 111.4 defensive rating, 28th in the league, while playing at a pace of 99.1 possessions per 48 minutes, 15th in the league. Pretty much there was nothing outstanding about the Magic early in the season. They weren't playing great defense. They were certainly not playing good offense, and they were playing at about a league average pace. They didn't really have an identity. They really didn't understand who they were. They were just kind of, for an oversimplification, Cole Anthony shooting the ball a lot. When he shot the ball well, the Magic competed. When he didn't, they struggled. It was really that simple. So the team didn't really know who it was. While Suggs was out, things started to change a little bit. The Magic had an offensive rating of 105.8 points per 100 possessions. Again, an indication that, yes, Jalen Suggs was a bit of a drain on the offense early in the season. But it was still 28th in the league during that time period. And their defensive rating was 113.6 points per 100 possessions, 23rd in the league. Still not great. More interestingly, the Magic's pace sank to 97.8 possessions per 48 minutes, which makes sense because Jalen Suggs is someone that does push the pace a little bit. They were 19th in the league. So again, really no identity, really no sense of how they wanted to play or the things that they talked about early in the season. When Suggs returned until the end of the season, so the final 40 games of the season, Orlando saw its offense sink again, but they found their defensive footing. In those final 40 games, the Magic had an offensive rating of 104.8 points per 100 possessions, 29th in the league, not a great number, and a defensive rating of 111.7 points per 100 possessions, 11th in the league. You'll notice that number is roughly the same as it was before Suggs' injury, but ranked much lower among the league. The team's pace still ballooned to 101 possessions per 48 minutes, which became 4th in the league. Certainly helped by the last quarter of the season when Markelle Fultz was playing, and the team played at a pace of, I think it was 104 possessions per 48 minutes with Fultz out there. Certainly that helped matters. Suggs, for his part, averaged 11.3 points per game and 5 assists per game with a 38.1% field goal percentage. He played 27 of those final 40 games. So what can we take from these numbers? What can we take from what this says? First, it tells us that the Magic's defense was fairly consistent. They gave up the same number essentially throughout the whole year when Suggs was in there, who's a pretty good defender, especially for a rookie. 111 points per 100 possessions is not a fantastic number by any means, but compared to the rest of the league, especially that last half of the season when offense is really starting to find their groove, the Magic played good defense. Defense is always relative. The issue is the Magic's offense is so bad, it doesn't really matter. They have to play elite defense to really give themselves a chance every night. And there were certainly stretches where the Magic did do that, but their offense just was not consistent enough to support the defense in the way that they were playing defense. And certainly a better offense would theoretically make their defense better too. So there's a lot of warning. There's a little bit of noise in the Magic's defensive numbers, but to say that Orlando played relatively good defense, I think is fair to say. To say that the Magic's defense needs to continue improving is also perfectly fair to say, and something that absolutely needs to happen for this Magic team. This is all to say, again, that the biggest issue the Magic faces, their offense really struggled. Their offense is the biggest thing holding them back. But Orlando was able to pick up their pace. Orlando was able to find an identity and carve a little bit of itself. I don't know if dividing the season into thirds really explains the Magic season a ton, because Suggs was fairly consistent, and we kind of know the level that he was playing at. The Magic did have a level of consistency with Suggs out there, and certainly his defense helped a ton. But it's hard to say that the Magic have an overarching philosophy quite yet. They have ideas and a feeling of what they ultimately want to be, but it's still sort of coming together. It's still not clear. It's still not clear how this team's going to develop and exactly what's going to drive this team forward. Again, offense is just such a problem. It's holding everything back. Orlando needs to at least get, I don't want to say league average, but if they can get somewhere below, like slightly below league average offensively, that's what happened in 2019 and 2020. Orlando was not abysmal offensively. That allowed their defense to really shine, and that allowed them to make the playoffs. That allowed them to be competitive most nights. It's really that simple. It's really simple things like that. And I think these numbers, while not necessarily so explanatory, and of course the Magic have their own proprietary numbers that they probably look at as well, they do explain a little bit of where the Magic need to continue improving and where they can find success. So that's what we're looking at as we continue to go through the season. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at Locked On Magic. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all of the places to download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. You can find me on Twitter as well at PhilipRR_OMD. And for the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Now that you're done listening to us, be sure to check out Locked On NBA. From the first jump ball of the play-in tournament to the last possession of the finals, Locked On experts take you deep inside the playoffs with insight and analysis affecting all 30 teams. Subscribe today to the Locked On NBA podcast. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. For Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.